Hello students, this side Pushpen Singh Rajavat and I here welcome you all on this class 9th journey in which we are going to see some of the lectures and chapters of class 9. So starting from the chapter number first, that is matter in our surrounding. So what is this matter and why we are going to study the matter in chemistry? So for starting that, let us start with the chemistry. So students, what is chemistry? Chemistry is simply that branch of science that deals with the properties and the compositions of matter and the changes that the matter undergoes by various interactions. What does that mean? It simply means that we have to study all about this particular term which is named as matter. That is, what is matter and what is its property and what matter is made up of and how matter interact with each other. Just for an example, if I say this is having some kind of solution, when it interacts with this particular kind of solution, there would be some kind of reaction or they may not be any kind of reaction. So if they are reacting with each other, that is the interaction between these two different types of matter. So we are going to study their properties and write their equations. So these are simply about the matter and they all comes in the chemistry. So students, we are going to deal with matter in chemistry. So what is matter? Matter is something or anything that has mass and occupies space. If something or anything, or I can say any substance, that is matter, is having mass and if it occupies space, it simply means that it should be offering some kind of resistance. But what does the mass and the occupying space here means? The occupying space simply means the total volume. Just for an example, if I say the air is present in this room, but the content which is present in this particular substance is not occupied by air. So the content which is present in this particular substance is occupied by this substance. So it is occupying some kind of space. So simply means that it is having some volume. And what is the meaning of the term, that is mass? Mass is something, or I can say it is the content which is present in something. So it is the content present in something. So we have two terms, that is what? That is occupying space. That term I will call as a volume, and having mass, that is what? Simple content that is present inside me forming my mass. So students, never get confused with the mass and weight. In chemistry, we only deal with the mass. We never deal with the weight. Okay, students? So if someone is saying about the weight, he simply means that he is referring to mass. So students, what is matter? Anything that is having mass and it occupies space, that is what? Having some kind of volume. If any substance is having mass and it is occupying some kind of space, it simply means that it will going to offer some kind of resistance. So these are basic two parameters on which you have to calculate or you have to predict that whether a given substance is matter or not. So what happens, at the earlier times, the Indian philosopher classified all the substances that are present in this universe as Panch Tattvas, that is what? Fire, air, earth, water and sky. So this was the classification that was given by Indian philosophers. As we move on, the modern day scientists classified these substances as the matter. Just for an example, the board present here, it is also termed as matter. Me, this or anything that is present nearby me is also termed as matter. So that is a particular term which is given to every substance. So what does this matter composed of? So this we are going to deal in the whole chemistry, that what is matter composed of, what are the particles and how the particles interact with each other. So this is all about chemistry. So students, moving to another, that is the examples of matter. Here you see some of the examples you all encounter in your daily life. These are some of the examples that you see. Some of these are in the solid state, some of these are in the liquid state, while some of them are in the gaseous state. So how we have classified them? We have classified them on the basis of their physical nature or the basis of the physical property. Just for an example, you can see here the steam that is coming out. Here also, these are what? These are the gaseous state. So what does this gaseous state means? For that you have to wait for some time. I'm going to tell you each and everything that how will you differentiate between these substances. So here you are going to see that is the liquid, the solid, and just like that. So students, before moving our journey, let us start that what is we are going to study in class 9th. So students, here the class 9th in chemistry subject, the class 9th in chemistry subject you are going to deal with the number first, that is matter. So what about matter? The number first chapter is all about the matter, that is the matter around us. So the name of the chapter is matter in our surrounding. As we will see, and we are going to understand that what is matter and how the matters interact with each other, and what are the changes that matter undergoes by the change in temperature or by the change in pressure in the physical states of matter. This we are going to deal in this particular chapter. Then afterwards we are going to move into the matter second, that is simply, is matter around us pure? So after classifying the substances as matter or non-matter, we are going to see that is the matter which is present around us is pure or it is not pure. So what is the definition of pure? Pure means in chemistry, remember students, in chemistry pure means something that is made up of single kind of particles, that we are going to dealing in this particular chapter, which is composing chapter number 2. So what we are going to see? We are going to see the matter that is present all around us in the chapter number first. Then we are going to classify the matter in the chapter number 2, that is they are pure or unpure. So pure are terms as the pure substances which is composed of elements and compounds. You may come across them in your daily life. And also we are going to see some of the impure substances that are known as the mixtures. And at last in this particular chapter we are going to see some of the separating techniques. So now moving forward, that if we know that matter is made up of tiny particles, and these particles were termed as atoms and molecules. So we are going to see what are atoms and what are molecules and their calculations. So this particular will make your chapter number 3 in your class 9th journey. At last we have seen, suppose this is matter, is it pure? Or if it is pure, then what it is made up of? Or it is not pure, then what it is made up of? So it is made up of small atoms and molecules. So how the atom look like? So at chapter number 4 we are going to see that is the structure of atom, that is how atom is made up of and what are the subatomic particles which constitutes the atom and their discoveries also. So here these all constitute your class 9th journey, which is starting with what? Which is starting with the matter. And remember students, your whole chemistry is based on this particular term, that is matter. So matter is so much important to you, or you can say that class 9th topics are very much important because they are going to make a base for you. So students, moving back and see, that is these are some of the examples of matter and what are the contents for today's lecture. So what are the contents? That is the classification of matter. Next we are moving into the physical nature of matter, and third, that is the Brownian motion and diffusion. So what are these? We are going to see this in this particular lecture, so stay tuned. So starting with the classification of matter, you all know that everything around us is made up of matter, but what about the substances or the things or anything which is not matter, that is if it is not having mass or if it is not occupying any kind of space? So you all know what our matter is. So what are not considered as matter is simply, number first, the energy. All kind of energies are not considered as matter. The second, that is the feelings. For an example, if I say love, affection, hatred, these are what? These are the feelings. They do not have any kind of mass, and they do not also occupy any kind of space. So they are what? They are not considered as matter. Just for an example, if I say gravity, so gravity is also not considered as matter. So air is considered as matter. The substances that you see around you they are also considered as matter. Light, it is not considered as matter. Remember these small points. So students, starting with the matter. For matter classifying, you need to know, that is, if it is having mass and if it is having some kind of volume, then you are going to classify any substance or anything into matter. So matter is classified based on the two categories, that is on the physical nature and the second is on their chemical composition. So on the physical nature, they are classified as the solid, liquid and gases, that we are going to see some of their physical properties. So this constitute your chapter number first, that is the physical nature of matter and the physical properties, that is the solid, liquid and gases. These are simply what? These are the physical states of matter and how do these matter interact with each other. Just for an example, how solid interact with liquid, or how I can say there is the interconversion between these states of matter. So we are going to deal all about in chapter number first these particular things. So remember students, how we are going to proceed? We are going to simply see this particular term, that is matter. So students, you have seen that is the matter being classified on the basis of the physical properties as solid, liquid and gases. So what about this chemical composition or the chemical properties? This we are going to see in the chapter number 2. But let us classifying this on this particular lecture. So in the chemical composition, which is based upon their chemical properties, which is further classified as, that is chemical composition is further classified as pure substances and the mixture. So what are the pure substances? Pure substances are simply those substances which is composed of single kind of particles. So what are these particles? We are going to deal with them in the chapter number 2 and we are going to discuss each one of them in detail in chapter number 2. So we are going to see just a little introduction part in this particular chapter. So what are pure substances? That are made up of single kind of particles. So I am writing here students, that is made up of single kind of particles. And what are impure substances? As the name suggests, impure substances are simply the combination of these pure substances. It simply means that they do not make up of single kind of particles. That's why they are termed as impure substances or the mixtures. So here the pure substances are further classified as elements and compounds. So what about the elements? You all know the elements that are present in the periodic table, that are around 118 elements. So you can easily see here students all the 118 elements. These are termed as the elements. So what is the meaning of this element and why they are termed as elements? So elements are simply those pure substances which cannot be subdivided into two or more simpler substances by any physical or chemical means. Just for an example, if I say, if I am having a sheet of iron, I cannot subdivide that particular iron into two or more different substances by any physical or chemical means. So iron is what? Iron is a element. Moving to the compounds. So what are the compounds? For the compounds are those substances which are made up of elements when elements combine in a fixed ratio by their masses, which constitute the compound. Just for an example, iron is combining with oxygen. They are forming what? They are forming a particular compound having the ratio of iron to oxygen in a fixed number. So these are composing what? They are composing compounds, and we are going to see these elements and the compounds in detail in chapter number 2. So before moving into elements, let us see these mixture. That mixture is also classified as, that is the homogeneous mixture and the heterogeneous mixture. So what are these homogeneous mixtures and what are these heterogeneous mixtures? Simply homogeneous mixtures are those substances which are having the uniform compositions. Heterogeneous mixtures are those which are not having the uniform compositions. That's why they are called as heterogeneous mixtures. So now further elements are classified as metals, non-metals and metalloids. Depending upon their chemical properties, they are given the names, that is metals which loses electrons, non-metal which gains electrons or shares electron, and metalloids which show some of the properties of metals and some of the properties of non-metals. Classifying the compounds, we can say here the compound is classified on the two categories, that is number first based on their constituent elements, that is the type of the element that is present in a particular compound. So they are further classified as the inorganic compounds and the organic compounds. So here you know students that these particular type of compounds, they are making what? They are making a whole new branch in the chemistry, that is the inorganic chemistry and the organic chemistry. So the study of the organic compounds comes under the organic chemistry, while the study of the inorganic compounds comes under the category of inorganic chemistry. So students, here you know that how much matter is important to you. So now this compound is further classified on the second category, that is on the basis of their properties. So on the basis of the properties, compounds are classified as acid, bases and their salt. So this is what, this is the classification of matter, or I can say this is the classification of pure substances which is a part of matter. So students, we are also going to see in brief some of the mixtures. So how the mixture is classified? So here you can see the heterogeneous mixtures is classified as the suspensions and the colloids, while the homogeneous mixtures is simply classified as the true solutions. So students, this is all about the chart of chemistry. So now we are going to see and starting the physical nature of matter. So what is the physical nature of matter? You all know that everything around us is made up of very small particles, or we can say very tiny particles. So which these tiny particles are called? These tiny particles are simply called as the atoms or molecules. Students, these particles are called as the atoms or molecules. So what about these atoms and molecules? Here you can see that they are termed as the atoms or molecules. And what are the properties of their? Simply the atoms and molecules which constitute matter, they have some kind of property. Just for an example, the particles which make up the matter are constantly moving. The second, they have the vacant spaces between them, and third, that is the particles of the matter attract each other. So this is what this is all about, the physical nature of the matter is composed of small particles known as atoms or molecules. They have vacant spaces between them. The particles are constantly moving, whether it is in the solid state, liquid state or in the gaseous state, they are always in motion, and the particles of matter attract each other. So moving into the next slide and see, just for an example, if I have told you that the particles is made up of matter and they have vacant spaces between them, or I can say the particles of matter attract each other, or simply the matter is composed of particles. So would you believe it without any evidences? No, we are not going to believe it. So we are going to see some kind of evidences. So here the evidences for the presence of particles. So how? So what are the evidences on which I can believe that the matter is made up of particles? So here it comes from the experiment on the Brownian motion and diffusion. So diffusion and Brownian motions are these terms, or I can say they are the basic which defines something about the matter. So what is Brownian motion and what is diffusion? So we are going to see them in detail. So Brownian motion is simply what? This is a zigzag motion of particles. And what is diffusion? That is the intermixing of two or more different types of particles. So this is just a basic definition. We are going to see them in detail, and we are going to find some of the evidences that are based on the experiments. So let us start. That is the Brownian motion. So Brownian motion was given by Robert Brown. And what is the Brownian motion? That is the random movement of particles. So here the term is named as the random. So random is simply what? The zigzag or the unpredicted motion. So the random movement of particles caused by the particles colliding with the surrounding molecules. When the molecules or the particles, when they are colliding with each other, this type of motion is occurring. So how does this zigzag motion look like, and how the Robert Brown discovered this particular type of motion and named it as a Brownian motion? So here we see Robert Brown did what? He simply observed the pollen grains which were suspended in water under the microscope, and he get to the conclusion that the particles are moving, or simply the pollen grains are showing some kind of motion. The motion is in a very undefined. So here you can see this is what? This is a pollen grain, and after watching its motion, it is showing some kind of movement which is unpredictable. So it is simply means that this type of particle, it is moving around and it is showing some kind of random movement. So why this pollen grain is moving? It is moving because it is constantly being hit by these water molecules. So they hit this pollen grain and the pollen grain moves, and also the water molecules move. But water molecules are so tiny that we cannot see them under microscope. So we are able to see only this particular pollen grain. We can also see here the particular Brownian motion. This is just a video for you to explain that how the particles are moving and how they are colliding with one another. And if we trace any one particle or if we simulate any one particle, we are going to see that their motion is very unpredictable, or simply it is random in nature. So here students, you can see that this particle is moving in a very zigzag manner or a very random motion. Here all the particles are moving, but this is our test particle to which we can predict their motion. So after this video, you will be able to see that the motion which is drawn or the motion which is done by this particle is very zigzag, or it is simply in the random motion. So this random motion of particle is known as the Brownian motion. I hope students now you understand it very well. So you can clearly see here how this particle is moving, and when it collides with any other particle, it changes its direction. So all the particles are moving in a very undetermined or a very unsystematic manner. So here this is a zigzag motion. I hope students you get it very well. Simply remember the zigzag motion of particle, and particles are always in the motion, whether it is in the liquid state, either it is in the gaseous state or in the solid state. The motion of particle is very well seen in the gaseous state as well as in the liquid state. But in the case of solid state, the particles are also in motion, and how they move? They are simply vibrating at their mean positions. They are not moving at a very great distance. They are simply vibrating at their mean positions. So we are going to deal this in the next lecture. So let us start with the next topic, that is about diffusion. So students, here you see what is diffusion. So students, what is diffusion? Diffusion is simply the intermixing of particles from higher concentration region towards the lower concentration region. What does that mean? It simply means that the particles are in motion, and how the particle moves? Particles try to move from a region from higher concentration towards the lower concentration. So here you see two different definitions, but the meaning of them is similar. That is the intermixing of particles of two different types of matter on their own. So students, this on their own term is very much important. We are not helping any particle to get mixed. The particles are mixing on their own. Or you can also see the other definition, that is the phenomena in which the spontaneous. So what is the meaning of spontaneous? That is on their own. It is happening on its own. It is a phenomena in which the spontaneous movement of molecules or the particles occur from their higher concentration region towards the lower concentration region. Just for an example, you have seen many examples in your life. Just for an example, if you spray the deodorant at the one corner of the room, you will get to smell that deodorant at the other corner of the room or at the other side of your house. Why? Because in the deodorant the molecules were tightly packed, and when you spray it out, it diffuses very quickly. So how does this diffusion depends upon the nature of the particles? It depends upon the nature of the particles as on their molecular masses or their atomic masses. So that you are going to study in your class 11th in the kinetic theory of gases. So just for now we are focusing on the diffusion, that what is diffusion and why it is happening and what are the examples of diffusion. So here students, you can see this particular video in which ink is dropped in this particular petri dish, and what happens over the time this ink spreads from this higher concentration region towards the lower concentration region. And remember students, this phenomena is happening on its own, or it is simply spontaneous in nature. That is why we are calling it a diffusion. You can also see here that we are taking what? We are taking two beakers. In the one beaker we are having the hot water, and in the another beaker we are having the cold water. And when we have put the ink in both of these beakers, what happened? It's simply, you can see here, the red ink diffuses very quickly while the blue ink takes some time for the diffusion. So why this is happening? This is happening because the diffusion depends on temperature. And how it depends upon the temperature? So students, as you have clearly seen this particular experiment, that when you have put the ink in the hot water, the ink diffuses very rapidly, and when you put the ink in the cold water, the diffusion process takes some time. So as the temperature is increased, or when the temperature is increasing, the rate of diffusion also increases. This is very much important, students. This you need to remember, that as the temperature increases, rate of diffusion also increases. So why the rate of diffusion increases? Because the particles are moving very fast due to the rise in the temperature. So as the temperature rises, particles moving faster, so the Brownian motion also increases and the rate of diffusion of the particles also increases. So here you have seen this particular experiment. So now moving into some further researches and experiments, moving into another and seeing the diffusion of bromine vapors in air. Here you see in this little bottle there is bromine. So bromine exists in the liquid state at room temperature. Also you can see some of the vapors that are formed above this bromine. So the melting point of bromine is very low, while the boiling point of bromine is around 60 degree Celsius. So there are some of the vapors that you see in this particular bottle. And what happens when we put this bromine into a jar in the vapor state and how it diffuses, we are going to see this in this particular video which is coming after this slide. So students, what is happening here? Here you have taken a jar of bromine and here you have put a lid in between the jar. In this particular jar, this is simply empty, but in the terms of science, this contains what? This contains air. So what happens when you just remove this particular obstacle from these two jars? So what happens here, when you remove this particular obstacle, the bromine vapors which are present in here, they are in the high concentration and it will move towards this particular region where the bromine vapors are not there. So it simply means that this is the movement of bromine vapors from this particular region, which is a high concentration region, towards the low concentration region. Or you can either say that there is a movement of air from this particular high concentration region towards the low concentration region till the volume becomes equal in all of these. So here you can see this in this particular experiment. As the time passes, see the rate of diffusion of bromine. So here this jar is containing bromine vapors and this jar is containing air. So starting this particular video, you can clearly see that with the passage of time, the bromine vapors starts to diffuse in this particular jar, and they are going to diffuse until the concentration will be equal in both the jars. So here you can see this and enjoy this video. We have just taken this video for the duration of 30 minutes. If it is left for some other time, then the concentration would be somewhat equal. And the diffusion process will goes on till the concentration remains equal. And after the concentration remains equal, there is also the movement of particles. The particles will always in motion. Remember students, the particle will always in motion, whether the concentration remains same or the concentration remains same or not. So here you can see just the passage of 30 minutes, the most of the bromine vapors is diffused into this particular jar, which is kept upwards, and also the higher concentration is here, and here there is a lower concentration. So if we put it for another 30 minutes, the concentration would be same. So students, now we will see that where diffusion is useful to us. So diffusion is very useful for us in our daily life, just because we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. So what happens in our body when we breathe in oxygen and diffuses into the capillaries? So here you can see the oxygen is coming and it is diffusing into the capillaries, that is containing the red blood cells, while the deoxygenated blood, which is containing carbon dioxide, it is diffusing back into the alveolus, and from there they are moving out of our body. So diffusion is very helpful in maintaining the life processes. Also, the salts that are present in our body and the ions, they also diffuses. And let us see the existence of Brownian motion. These are the conclusions, that is the existence of the Brownian motion and the diffusion gives us two conclusions, that is what matter is made up of particles. Matter is not continuous, matter is simply what matter is made up of particles, and these particles are very small in nature, and we have given the name to these particles as the atoms and the molecules. So the matter is made up of tiny particles. And the second, that the particles of matter are in constant motion, or they are constantly moving. The particles are always in motion, whether it is solid, liquid or gas, any physical state of the matter, the particle are always in the motion. And the next conclusion that we have seen, that the Brownian motion and the diffusion, they increases as the temperature is increased, because as the temperature increased, the movement of particle increases, and hence the Brownian motion and diffusion also increases. It is as simple as that. No need to learn this, simply remember this particular concept. So students, now moving into the dissolution of KMnO4. KMnO4 is potassium permanganate. It is purple in color, or I can say it is dark purple in color. So what happens when we put potassium permanganate in water and how it dissolves? So first see this particular video, and then I will go to explain you how this particular concept works. So students, here you see that is a beaker, and here you have put what? You have put the KMnO4, that is the potassium permanganate. And what happens here? You are dissolving it or you are stirring it. So it is simply to increase this particular diffusion, otherwise it will diffuse on its own. So what is happening here? These are the lump of KMnO4, and here these are the molecules of water. So the molecules of water are taking these particles and taking it in their vacant spaces. It is simply means what? That is, the KMnO4 is now diffusing into the water, and you can also see that in water the molecules are always in a constant motion. So what is happening here? You can clearly see, students, that is, suppose this is what? This is a crystal of KMnO4 molecules are present. Just for example, these are what? These are the molecules of KMnO4. This is just for an example for you to understand. So what have you seen? That is, when the water molecules comes, there are billions and billions and trillions of KMnO4 particles in this particular crystal of KMnO4. So what is happening here? The water molecule is coming and they are taking these molecules along with them. So what is happened here? Suppose this is water. The KMnO4 particles are present in the vacant spaces which are present in this beaker. So the vacant spaces are also there in between the particles of matter, and in these vacant spaces the another particles or the another type of matter diffuses. So this is why the diffusion occurs. You can clearly see the changes, that the diffusion occurs very fastly in the gases, because the interparticle spaces in between the gases are very large, while in the case of solid the interparticle spaces are very less. Therefore the diffusion in the solid is at a negligible rate. And is there any diffusion occurring in the solid state? Yes, of course, students. The diffusion also occurs in the solid state. So where have you seen this diffusion? You have seen this diffusion in your daily life. Just for an example, if you went to school, what happens there? We used to write with a chalk. So suppose this is what? A blackboard, and just before the holidays you have written something here. Just for an example, I am writing anything. So what have you done? You have written something on your board, and if you erase it with the duster, it easily erases. But when you left this particular writing for 1 or 2 months or for 1 or 2 weeks, what happens when you try to erase this part with the help of duster? You find it very difficult for the erasing. So why is this happening? This is happening, students, because the surface of the board is rough. If I say the surface of this board is very smooth, so students, remember one thing, nothing is as smooth. Everything is rough. If we see on the microscopic level, we see so many bulges coming out. So for example, if I say here, see the surface, so the surface of the board will look like this. So it is not smooth at all. And what happens when we write with the help of chalk, extending it? So when we are writing, the particles of the chalk are stick on its surface just like that. So after some time, or after some weeks, or after some months, what happens? These particles starts to diffuses into one another. So they move more towards these surfaces. So after erasing it, we find it very difficult to erase this particular chalk writing, because the particles of the chalk are now diffused into the blackboard. So the solid, in case of solid, the diffusion also occurs, but the rate of diffusion is very less, or I can say these are negligible. The rate of diffusion is somewhat higher in case of liquids, while it is very much higher in case of gases. It all depends upon the vacant spaces between the particles. So students, you have understood about the diffusion process. So now moving into and see that how the dye molecules diffuses into the water. So when you put the dye molecules here, you are seeing what? You are seeing here the high concentration. So students, remember one thing, here we are using this particular rod for the stirring purposes. If we have not used this particular stirring, the dye would have also diffuses into the water. We are simply using it just to increase the rate of diffusion, or simply the speed of diffusion. But if you have not used it, the diffusion would have occurred as it was occurring earlier. So diffusion process is a spontaneous process, first of all, in which the concentration, or I can say in which the particle diffuses from the high concentration region towards the low concentration region. So here you see, when we put these ink drops in the water, they are at the higher concentration in the present in this place. Here you can see you do not find any ink drops. So here the concentration of this ink is 0. So after some time, what happens? They try to diffuse and they occupied the vacant spaces present in between the water molecules. So they are in where they are in the vacant spaces. Also, when you put these ink drops, or you can put the sugar solution, the level of water does not rises. So it simply gives us the conclusion that the vacant spaces are also present in between the particles. So now students, it shows that the particles of the matters have vacant spaces between them. So this is what? This is the evidence with the help of an example. This is the characteristic or the physical nature of matter, and we have concluded it with the help of experiment. So now students, seeing another slide in which you are given the KMnO4 or the potassium permanganate, and when we try to put it in these particular glasses which are having the water 100 ml, so we are putting here in the different concentration. Just for an example, if I putting here in this particular jar around 200 milligram, and if I keep on decreasing up to 0.6 milligram, so what happens? Even the concentration which is very less, that is in the milligram, so this, if this concentration is very less, it is able to colorize whole of the water, and you can see there is the deep color. So as we decreases the concentration, the color also goes on decreasing. This shows me what? This shows me that the particles of matter are very small. So you can clearly see this experiment and understand that the particles here, they are very small, and they are made up of billions of tiny particles which keeps on dividing themselves as per the requirement. So moving into another experiment and understand, that is how the particles are very small in nature. So here you see students, that is if I am having these particular types of beaker, these are what? These are different beakers which contains the equal amount of water. Just for an example, they all contains say 100 gram of water. So now students, what happened when I put the KMnO4 crystal in this particular water? Just for an example, if I put here 200 milligram of KMnO4, which is potassium permanganate. So when I put it in this particular solution, what happens? You get the deep purple color here. This is the deep purple color that you get in this particular type of beaker. And now what you have to do, you have to simply take a spoon, and from the spoon just take some amount of water and transfer it to this beaker number second. So this is beaker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So what do you observe here? You observe that when you put it in this beaker, there is also the coloration, but the coloration or the concentration will be not as deep as it is present in this particular beaker number first. So here you see there is a light color. So again what we have to do, we have to take a spoon and take some of the water, that is around 5 gram, into this particular beaker. So like this we are going to transfer each time. And what do we observe each time? That is, the particles that are present in here, it is able to colorize this whole solution, and the concentration of this will keeps on decreasing. So what do you conclude from here? You conclude that the particles are very small in nature, and they go into the vacant spaces between the other particles when they diffuses into one another. And why they diffuses? Because they are in a constant motion, they are constantly moving. So here students, you can see this as this particular experiment in which the particle of KMnO4 is keep on dividing it. So how the particle is dividing, let us take a quick view for that also. So students, here you see, suppose this is what? This is the particle of KMnO4. So I am making here the particle of KMnO4, and it contains what? It contains many particles of KMnO4. So now student, what happens when you put it in the beaker number first? The particles keeps on dividing themselves. Just for an example, they used to divide like this and move into the vacant spaces. So when we put a teaspoon into another beaker, or when we transfer 1 teaspoon full of this particular solution in another beaker, what happens? Some of the particles, just for an example, these type of particles move into another solution. So this particle here, it will try to dissolve in that particular solution. So here the number of particles are somewhat less, so the coloration will be somewhat lighter as compared to the coloration of this particular solution or in the beaker number 1. So what happens here? Here also the particles keeps on dividing themselves. So here I am taking this as a reference, and the particles are dividing in this particular ratio. So when we transfer it, the particles that are present here will move into the another beaker. So that's why the particles keeps on dividing. So here what we got that even a milligram of a KMnO4 will be able to colorize a whole volume of water. It means that this KMnO4 is made up of millions and billions of particles that are, these are very small in nature. So here students, we have concluded that the particles are very small in nature. Particles of matter have vacant spaces between them. Particles of matter are constantly moving, and the particles of matter are known as atoms or molecules. Now we are going to see that the particles of matter also attract each other. And how do they attract? So let us see this in this particular slide. That is, the particles of matter attracting each other. So there are two type of attraction forces, that is the cohesive force and the adhesive force. So what is the cohesive force? Cohesive force is the force of attraction that exists between the same type of particles. I repeat again, cohesive force is that type of attraction which exists between the same type of particles. Just for an example, if I say the particles of water, this is a beaker and the water is present in this beaker. So in between the particles of water, what is happening? There happens a cohesive force of attraction. So between the same type of particles, cohesive force exists, and in between the different type of particles, adhesive forces exist. For an example, you can also see in this particular case, that is the particles of this glass and the particles of the water, they are also in contact with each other, or they are also attracting each other. That's why this force of attraction is known as adhesive force. So here the definition for adhesive force is that the force of attraction between the particles of different substances. So this type of force exists between the different type of particles or the different type of matter. That is why students, the Fevicol is termed as a adhesive. Why adhesive? Because it is used to bind up different type of particles together. Just for an example, you can see here, this is what? This is sheet number 1, that is S1, and this is the sheet number 2, this is S2. So when I want to stick both of them together, I want a Fevicol or an adhesive. So when we put the adhesive in between, it does what? It simply binds the different particles together. That is, it binds the particles of this adhesive with this particular sheet. So this is the nature of adhesive. Stronger is the force of adhesive, stronger will be the bond. So now students, you know all about the matter. So moving into the next and see different type of particles, that is the solid, this is also solid and this is also solid. So how do they differ? They differ in their force of attraction. Here you see, this is what? These are the iron nails. So here iron, this is what? This is ice cubes, so ice, and here you see the chalk. So they all are what? They all are the solid. So in there are particles, they are attracting with each other. So force of attraction between the particles is not same, because in the case of chalk, the force of attraction is very less as compared to the forces of attraction between the ice particles and as compared to the force of attraction between the iron particles. So the force of attraction between the different particles or between the same particles also differs on the substance's nature. So students, now you understand it well that the forces of attraction between the particles are not same in all the cases. That is, the different substances have the different type of forces of attraction. If we talk about the chalk particles, the force of attraction when required to break the chalk particles is very less as compared to the ice, and which is also very less as compared to the iron nails. So the iron nail requires large amount of forces to bend or to break, because the forces of attraction or the cohesive forces of attraction between the iron particles are very higher. So now students, we have seen what? We have seen all the physical properties of matter. So in the tomorrow's lecture, we are going to see the states of matter. So what are the states of matter? There are basically 3 different states of matter, but we are going to see the 4th and the 5th state of matter also in the next lecture. So students, till then, thank you all.